Airbnb owners, do this instead. The hybrid method explained. What if I told you every time your property sits empty, you're not just losing money, you're losing travel? Because we're conditioned to think in terms of income, occupancy rates, and nightly returns, but not in terms of what those empty nights could actually become. And once you see it differently, that changes everything. Because those empty nights, they're not just gaps, they're unused potential. They're opportunities just sitting there, just waiting to be used properly. Because while most Airbnb hosts are focused on bookings, there's a completely different strategy that turns empty nights into free stays all over the world. And when you first hear that, it sounds unrealistic. It sounds like one of those things that can't actually work, but it does. And it works with something you already have. You don't need to buy anything new. You don't need to change anything. You need to use what's already there differently. And almost no one is talking about it. Chapter 1, the problem nobody talks about. Let's be real. Even the best Airbnb properties sit empty. And this is something every host experiences. No matter how good your setup is, no matter how well your listing performs, there's always going to be gaps. Some weeks are full, some weeks aren't. And those quieter periods, they stand out. They're noticeable. They feel like something's missing. It doesn't matter how experienced you are, how optimized your listing is, how many reviews you've got, there are always going to be gaps. And sometimes those gaps are small, but sometimes they stretch out. And when they do, you feel it more. Because you know your property could be doing something, but it's not. And they add up over time. Mid-season gaps, off-season slumps, last-minute cancellations. And sometimes those cancellations happen right before they're about to stay. And suddenly you've got a hole and not much time to fix it. And then what happens? Nothing. No income, no bookings, no value. And that's the frustrating part. Because your property still exists. It's still there. It's still valuable. But it's not doing anything. And most hosts, they just accept it. They say it's just part of the game. And for a long time, we thought the same thing. We just thought that was normal. We thought it was unavoidable. But what if those empty nights could actually work for you? What if instead of being wasted, they were just being underused? Chapter 2, introducing the hybrid method. And the reason we call it that is not because you're replacing Airbnb. You're not walking away from income. You're not starting over. You're simply adding another layer to something you're already doing. And that's what makes this powerful. Because you don't lose anything, you're actually gaining something. It's not Airbnb or Home Exchange, it's both. You keep running your Airbnb, but instead of letting those empty dates go to waste, you list those same dates on Home Exchange. And this is where people start to lean in, because it sounds simple, and it actually is simple, but it also feels different. And when something is different, it makes you question it. And when someone stays at your home using Home Exchange, you get guest points. At first, they might not feel valuable because it's not money, and we're used to money. But once you understand it, that's when it clicks, because guest points represent value. They represent nights, they represent stays, they represent real experiences, and that's when it becomes real, because those guest points you can use to stay in real homes all over the world for free. And once you experience that once, it changes how you think about everything. Chapter 3, why this is a game changer. This is where it shifts. Your property doesn't just make money. It creates lifestyle, and that's a completely different outcome. Because now your property is doing more than one job. It's working for you in 2 different ways. And that's where the leverage comes from. 10 empty nights normally equals 0, but now you've got 10 nights of guest points. And those points, they don't just sit there. They create opportunities. They create options. They give you access to things you didn't have before. Those 10 nights of guest points, that's 10 nights in Bali, that's 10 nights in Europe. You can use them as you wish. These aren't just ideas, they're real outcomes. These are real trips. You didn't discount, you didn't chase bookings, you just used what was already there. And that's what makes this so powerful. You're not working harder, you're working smarter. You're using what already exists in a better way. Chapter 4, how it works. And here's how simple it is. And it's the thing that probably surprises most people. Because they expect complexity. They expect it to be hard. But it's not. Keep Airbnb running. And nothing changes here. You keep doing what you're already doing. You don't lose anything. These are the gaps you already see, the ones that used to frustrate you. List those gaps on Home Exchange, and this is where you activate them. This is where they start working for you, earning guest points. And this is where value is created from something that used to be nothing. Travel using points, and this is where everything connects. And once you've done it once, it becomes normal. It'll naturally become part of your system. Chapter 5, the last minute advantage. Now here's where it gets powerful. The hardest dates to fill on Airbnb are the best dates on Home Exchange. And this is something most hosts don't realise because they're used to thinking one way. Last minute accommodation is on Airbnb. Drop the price, take what you can, and sometimes that works. But sometimes it doesn't, and even when it doesn't feel great. But on Home Exchange, it's different. Last minute doesn't mean discounting. It means activating a week out, or 5 days, or 2 days. Those dates become valuable again. And that's the shift, because people are looking for spontaneous trips, and hosts are flexible, because the alternative is nothing. You're not discounting, you're gaining. And that's where the hybrid method really clicks. Airbnb for premium bookings, and Home Exchange for when the clock is ticking. An empty calendar stops being stressful and it becomes strategic. Chapter 6, why not just discount? And why not just lower prices? Because that's what everyone does. And when you discount, you attract lower quality bookings. You reduce value and you race to the bottom. And once that happens, it's hard to reverse. But this isn't discounting, it's repurposing. You're not reducing value, you're redirecting it. You've turned unused nights into something very valuable. Chapter 7, the mindset shift. Most hosts think empty night, lost money. But this flips it. An empty night equals opportunity. And that one shift changes everything. You stop asking yourself, how do I fill every night? And start asking, how do I maximize every night? And those are completely different questions with completely different outcomes. Chapter 8, money versus lifestyle. Most hosts chase money, but you don't get to keep it all. Fees, tax, expenses. And when you look closer, you start to realize how much actually disappears. But with guest points, you're earning travel. And that changes everything. No money changes hands. No complexity. You host, you earn, you travel. It's actually really simple, and that simplicity is what makes this work so well. It turns your property into a lifestyle engine, from making money to creating freedom. Chapter 9, who is this for? Now this works best if you've got gaps, seasonal property, a second home, and you love travel. And especially if you've ever looked at your empty calendar and thought, there has to be a better way to use this. Chapter 10, our experience. And we've now done 26 exchanges. We started small, but it soon changed everything. And the more we did it, the more it made sense and the more natural it became. And now it's just part of how we operate weekly. Chapter 11, 50 nights, $0 for accommodation. So let me show you what it actually looks like. In July, we're traveling to England and Ireland for 50 nights. And when people hear that we're not paying for any accommodation, not a dollar, it's actually hard to believe. So you have to explain it to them. No discounts, no deals, just using guest points. They're homes we never would have booked. Unique, character, incredible locations. And it all comes from empty dates. Think about that. Empty nights turning into a 50-night trip. This isn't filling gaps, it's unlocking experiences. Chapter 12, the big mistake. And the biggest mistake? Treating Home Exchange like Airbnb. And once you understand that, it all clicks. It's not about income, it's about value. So if you're an Airbnb owner and your place sits empty, stop wasting those nights. Use them. Turn them into something, because once you do, you'll never go back. Because once you understand this, you'll never look at your calendar the same way ever again. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to look at the 11 homes we're going to stay in all across England and Ireland for 50 nights for free, here's the video.